Join us in sharing intriguing stories from our museum's collections and the Highline Times with host Roger Price on 106.5 Low Power FM, One America Voice. You can find us online too, www.kqwzradio.org. Join us in sharing intriguing stories from our museum's collections.
Hi, I'm Roger Bryce, and I'm a volunteer here at the Highline Heritage Museum. And today I'd kind of like to talk about the hobby store that we had in Burien in the 60s. And in the basement, they had a slot car track, and that opened that slot car track was put together about 1963, and it was about 156 feet of track with curves and straightaways, and there was four different lanes, so you could race against three other competitors. I remember coming in here. My brother and I used to come down here, and we each had a car that we would race, and that was just a lot of fun back then. I know uh, with you have your own little toolbox, and your car was designated for a certain lane. You put either maybe it was a yellow dot on the car, or a red or blue or green or something to distinguish what lane you were in. And you all lined up at the start, and off you went. So I think I believe there was around 15 laps to a heat. And I don't know, guess you eliminated certain competitors as the night went on. And maybe by the end of the night, you were a champion if you were fortunate enough to keep your car on the track. But they were about 40, 50 people would show up on Mondays and Friday nights to do this racing. I had a lot of fun doing it, but they were either in 1/24 scale or 1/32 scale, so they were anywhere from probably 4 to 6 inches long. Not quite remember exactly how long they were, but each racer had his own controller, and it was kind of like a plunger. You just put your thumb on top of it, and you could regulate the speed that way. So it was pretty hard. Sometimes you get going too fast, and you didn't make the next curve. But so that was one way of eliminating some of the competitors. But yeah, I thought it was really a lot of fun. It went on for several years here. Uh, and it was, like I say, it was the hobby shop was actually just just to the east of probably where the train store is now on 152nd. That was and kind of in between where Discover Burien offices are and the train store. So, and they had a basement in it, and they set up a nice track there. So uh, I know my car, I don't remember if I ever won any races, but it was just fun to do that. And you would get put different size tires on to maybe give you more grip for the road to surface. So yeah, you're always trying to stay up with the latest trends and different things that was going on. But yeah, I think well, I don't know, Daniel, the slot cars were uh, around much when you were a kid, maybe so. Uh, uh,
Think they were still around somewhere like in the late 80s or early 90s. How I had a similar interaction, though not really, was the Pine Board Derby and Boy Scouts. And so, everyone would they'd get a block of wood and then they'd carve out their car out of it and then put some wheels on it. Mine was too heavy, so my dad took it back and just drilled a bunch of holes in it, and that made it weight compliant, and then I got third place actually.
oh, he lightened it with a drilling holes in it. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a way of doing it, of course. Yeah. So yeah, and I think maybe there were more of those remote control radial cars back, probably more in your age. I'm not quite sure, but
Oh well, for the Pinewood Derby, that was just like it was just a straightaway, and it was just whoever got to the end. I know what you're talking about though, because I've played some games that have like it kind of shows that like it's like a period type ones that show like in the 80s or 90s when they were doing similar like the cars you were talking about.
uh-huh. Yeah, no, that was kind of came along after the slot cars. Although uh, I know a good friend of mine, him and his brother were going to build a slot car track in the patio in the back and behind his house, uh, uh, and they got all the plywood and different things, and they they got quite a ways into it, and then I forget. I think they just kind of it was turned out to be more of an expensive project than I think they had planned. So I don't know if it was ever completed, but yeah, it was, and you needed quite a bit of space to have a big setup like that. But I uh, I know it was always looking forward to either Monday or a Friday evening and going down to the hobby store and I think there was also a hobby shop over that's kind of in the area of well, I think Siler's Auto Parts was over there and a sewing machine shop, and then there was a Winners, I think it was Winners uh, hobby shop, and in one of the rooms there. They were setting up a slot car track too there, but I don't remember if I ever raced a car there. But anyway, that was it was fun for a few years.
And so, did those hobby shops have other like hobbies that people did, or was it mostly just focused on the slot cars?
No, they had everything in there. They had models for cars, airplanes, boats, trains. So it was a complete hobby shop back then. There were a few that were in Burien over the years. I know Parker's Hobby Shop, which was down closer to about on 152nd and in between 4th and 6th. They had quite a hobby shop there in the 50s. And then there was also a hobby shop down just in the 200 block down between 2nd and 4th, across the street from the old Tradewell store. There used to be a hobby shop in there too. So we had several over the years. And whether you were into model railroading or building model cars, which was popular too, or maybe it was airplanes. But yeah, they were pretty well. They had all the different things in a hobby shop that kids were always interested in.
Oh, nice. And are any of those shops still like hobby shops? Like maybe not the same owner or name, but
I don't believe there's any hobby shops left in Beer. I don't. There's not too many left anywhere. You know, there used to be. South Center had a couple, but there might be one in South Center. I'm not down the Parkway Plaza there, but not quite sure. I don't. But they just don't have all the cool stuff that they had back when I was a kid. So uh, I don't know if kids are not doing models anymore, but doesn't have the appeal that it used to have.
so I know that they have like some like so like in the starting like in the 80s even to now they have like models for these little they can make little armies for I think it's like Warhammer 40K. It's like a sci-fi thing. And then
Hmm.
you also and also a lot of these shops they'll have like card games like Magic the Gathering, which is like it's not like your standard 58 or however many cards are in a deck of like that one. It's like each one's like a unique type of cards, like it's competitive ones. And then they also have like Dungeons and Dragons. Like it seems maybe that's where they had moved to. They don't have as many model cars and that type of thing.
Uh-huh.
But I would still classify them as a hobby shop. And there's quite a few around, but maybe they just moved away from like the slot cars and that kind of thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that could be. I don't know. There's probably something that I don't know if is that Hobby Lobby. I'm not quite sure what they sell in there. Whether that's
Well, Hobby Lobby, that's more of like just construction stuff, but they have this place like the Mox, and that's like focused on games. So it's like that kind of it's a similar idea, get people young people or even older people out to play games and interact socially.
uh-huh.
But it's not the having the cars go and racing each other, unfortunately.
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah. No, I think everything kind of goes through cycles and different things. So, but yeah, I know in the '60s, slot cars were a big item, and I know Aurora they were the company that made slot cars, and there was several others. You know, whether they were the Matchbox size car or, like I say, the 1/24th or 1/32nd scale. It was a lot of fun. So I guess but that was it for the fun hobby shop in Burien there. And I also like to mention that in the same year, about 1963, that up in Top Hat, which most of us are familiar with, up around 100 and 8th and First Avenue, that a new Triple X went in. So that was where people would get Sunday afternoon to go out and get a burger, fries, and a root beer float or whatever it was, and they would come. You put a tray on your window, and they'd come out and take your order, and it was a lot of fun. You'd eat right there in your car. They also had some indoor seating too for someone that wanted to sit inside. But yeah, there was a triple X that opened up there, and also there was a few A&Ws around. So there was quite a few different ones that got started around that time. So, and then there was also, I believe, down on about 128th and Ambom, there was a A&W there that was probably about in the location where the Jack in the Box is now. But, and then there was, I believe, it was a triple X out about 160th and Highway 99, just across from the old Lewis and Clark bowling alley and theater. I believe that was a triple X. And the other one I remember was the one they had down, I think, in Des Moines. Now I can't remember. That was probably, I think that was also maybe a A&W or triple X. I'm not positive on that, but yeah, they were a lot of fun. I remember uh, you could buy root beer and you'd get maybe a half gallon of it, and it was good stuff. So,
Wow, I haven't seen any triple X's. I'm guessing they've gone by the wayside. I've seen a few A&Ws. They're usually like mixed with like a KFC or something.
uh-huh. Yeah, I think they had one actually. White Center had one, I believe, in a few years ago, but it was just by there recently, and I think that A&W KFC is no longer there. But yeah, it's down kind of by McClendon Hardware there. But yeah, sometimes they just, and then another new franchise will come along, whether it's who knows what it's going to be, but it's always something else being brought in. So
Well,
anyway,
if you're ever feeling like A&W, I'm pretty sure there's one over in Renton.
oh, okay.
But is there any particular memories you have at either at Triple X or even at that the slot car things.
Oh, well, I do have remembered a few times going to the Triple X up at Top Hat, getting maybe a Frosty, you know, or maybe it'd be just a hamburger. But yeah, it was kind of fun to hang out there, and you could, like I say, didn't have to leave your car. You could sit right there, and they'd bring it to you. So uh, those were good times. And as far as the slot car goes, those were they were a lot of fun too. I know that was a good kind of a fun hobby for a few years, and I know my brother and I we used to even compete against each other during when we would try to get the fastest car on the track. But I don't remember who ended up winning, but we did have a lot of fun at it.
Oh, that's awesome. Now I can't really think of too many restaurants that do be sitting out in your car still. Like maybe Sonic has it, but usually you're expected to move on afterwards.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know of any either. There may be, I think there was maybe Issaquah had a something like a old A&W or something, but I don't know. And then there was Burger Master down at University Village, and then there was also on Aurora Avenue. They used to do that, and that was about the most recent I can remember. And they may still have that. I'm not positive on that. So yeah.
Definitely interesting to hear about like the kind of hobbies that people used to do in the past. Also just the kind of places you used to eat at. So, is there anything else you want to talk about today?
Well, gee, I think that's about it. I know that I'm working on something for the next program, so maybe we'll just leave it at that and go from there.
Sounds great. Well, thank you as always.
Yeah, well, thank you, Daniel, for our interview. It was fun.
Yeah, of course. Always is.